begin tonight with the two women who claim they are victims of sexual harassment and abuse by former chief of staff to Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett.
Yeah, they're demanding changes by the city and want an apology from the mayor himself. Those women sat down to tell their stories today to News 8. They talked with our own Kyla Russell. Kyla.
So I sat down with Caroline Ellert and Lauren Roberts this afternoon. We talked for about 20 minutes about everything that's happened since they first started sharing their stories. Tonight they tell me they don't want Mayor Hogsett to resign, but that they do want him to apologize. He came forward a little over 3 weeks ago. Tell me a little bit about what the last few weeks have been like for you. I mean, has there been broad support, backlash, everything in between? Tell me.
I feel very lucky. I had a lot of people reach out to me, former coworkers, very supportive, which I won't say I wasn't expecting that, but I was bracing myself for the worst. So there's really been mostly support and very few detractors, but it's definitely very overwhelming.
Yeah, I keep saying it's like an alternate universe that I'm in right now, because this isn't the first time I've spoken out. I started posting publicly on social media in 2017, around the same time I first reached out to the mayor to report what happened to me. But this is the first time I've had any kind of platform or that I was ready to talk to press about it, and especially not being alone is a really nice change. And I'm very grateful for the reaction so far. It's been strange to watch my story, our stories, get used as this political football to score points between parties, but I do feel like it's making a change, and that feels good.
When you all first came forward last month, the mayor shared a statement with us. He started by condemning the conduct that had been reported, and then he went on to say each complaint at the time it was reported was taken seriously, investigated, and resulted in sanctions. Do you agree that that's what occurred at that time?
Absolutely not. Sorry, just
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. So when I first reached out to him in 2017, I didn't hear a word back. I don't believe he is telling the truth about a 2017 investigation. I was never interviewed. To this day, I've never seen documentation of an investigation or of the sanctions he says were placed on Thomas that fall. And regardless, even if that were true, my report came forward in May. He says he disciplined Thomas in October. So what was going on between that time? October 2017 also happens to be when Tarana Burke's Me Too movement went viral, and I don't think that's a coincidence. So until I see documentation of an investigation and a very good explanation as to why I, as the person reporting, was never interviewed, I'm very skeptical.
Yeah, and I think it's clear that even if sanctions were made in that October 2017 timeline, it clearly didn't work because I was already beginning to experience that. So I think it should be less about checking a box to say that you did something and more about a meaningful good faith effort to actually fix the problem and hold people accountable. I went to the mayor in September of last year, September of 2023, and I asked for Thomas to have his contracts removed from the city. I asked him to be removed from his position on the campaign, which those things happened, but I also asked for a stronger reporting system that actually encouraged people to come forward, because I didn't feel like that was in place, and that still has not happened. So I wish that my concerns had been taken seriously then. I also wish that Lauren's concerns had been taken seriously at the time, because it might have prevented what happened to me. The other thing that bothers me about the city's statement is that they say I reported a romantic relationship. I reported that he sexually assaulted me. I reported that he was abusive to me, that he abused his position of power. So that sort of indicates to me that the full scope of what we experienced has not been taken seriously. I also brought up the point that Thomas still had work with the city through his clients, and I was essentially told that if you are contracted with the city and you are harassing a city employee, there's essentially nothing the city can do about it, which seems like a huge gap that I wish had been addressed. So I wish it didn't take this for our concerns to be heard, but I hope that now they will actually be taken seriously.
At least one Democratic city county council member has called for the mayor to resign. Do you believe Mayor Joe Hogsett should step down?
So I don't think that's up to us. What we want to do is tell our story, and we want people to be held accountable where that's appropriate, but this is about more than one person or two people. It's about the systems upholding powerful men and letting them continue to get away with this. So I think it's more productive for us to focus on the system as a whole and how we can all be part of changing that.
And regardless of who is mayor and at the top of that power pyramid, if the system doesn't change in a meaningful way, and I don't mean just policy and procedure and what's on paper, I mean the culture too, which I hope is shifting, things will continue to happen if the culture hasn't changed and the policies haven't changed. So regardless of who's mayor, we want the system to be different.
Now, Kyla, Caroline told you in the interview that she wants the mayor to apologize, but she also said that there might be other people as well in this, other victims.
Yeah, so both Caroline and Lauren told me there are women that have come to them with similar stories, and their message to them is, you know, their voice matters, but also that people are starting to listen. So.
All right, Kyla Russell, excellent reporting. We appreciate that. Thank you tonight.
Good job, Kyla. Thank you very much. And we might also hear from the mayor at tonight's City County Council meeting. Let's get right to News 8's government reporter Garrett Berquist. He's live outside the City County building tonight with the latest. Garrett.
So the mayor is supposed to present his annual budget at tonight's meeting. This will be the first time that the mayor has appeared before the City County Council since news broke of the sexual harassment allegations against his former chief of staff, Thomas Cook. Now, so far, Hogsett has not responded to numerous requests for comment. Council leaders already have said they plan to make several changes to the city's sexual harassment prevention policies. Those changes would have to go through the regular City County Council process, and at last check, nothing has been filed publicly. We will be in the room tonight for tonight's meeting to see if the mayor comments publicly on allegations against Cook. We know that Roberts and Ellert plan to be in the room. Those are, as we just heard, two of the women two of the former staffers who say they were harassed by Cook during their time working in Hogsett's office. Now, as for the budget itself, the presentation we hear tonight will be listening for investments in key areas such as public safety and pedestrian safety. Live at the City County building, I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV. WishTV.com, or follow us on Facebook for updates.